Hi guys, happy Friday. Welcome to the Design Exchange. I'm your host, Danny Russo. Melinda is not with me today, but I am joined by a special guest. She is the one and only Robin Baron from Robin Baron Designs, and she's based out of New York City. Robin,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Yeah, thank you for
I'm
coming on.
excited.
Yes, we've been trying to coordinate this for a couple weeks now, and I
Yes,
don't
and
know. Are you okay? Did you fall? Do I might hear remembering
oh,
correctly?
you are gonna bring it up, aren't you?
Sorry, I just remembered it.
I did. I fell down a flight of stairs and
Oh,
I shattered my ankle, and I had to have major reconstruction on my ankle, and I've been literally like like immobile for 2 months. So I'm very
I'm glad you're okay.
thank you. It was a very rough go.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting old. You're not. I am. I just turned 44, and I tell people I'm 22. But
Oh my God. Well, that's a state of mind. I don't relate at all. What I
yeah,
can say is just thank God I'm in very good health because I'm healing and I'm almost back. I'm a few weeks back from walking.
yeah.
Almost.
Well, good, good. So you started out in interior design and launched your studio in 1990. What
Oh, now you're
was?
oh my God.
Okay,
Okay.
I didn't mean to segue into that
Yes,
like
well, I'm
that.
proud of that. I'm very proud of that. It's 34 years this year.
You're an industry veteran. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I feel like, I've seen a lot, but you've seen more, and you've been to High Point Market, I'm sure, many more times than I have. What was it like going to market back then? Like,
You
let's
know,
say the
that
early 2000s. I even asked my other designer friends, I'm like, what was it like back then? Like, was everything just this Italianate burgundy and dripping things? Because I'm like, I see these designs that I'm doing, and I'm always working in projects that were built in like 1994 to 2004, and it seems like everything was the same aesthetic. And there's so many other options out there.
yes, yeah.
What
Well,
was it?
now there's so many options, but the answer to that question, it's a really great question, but there's a lot to unpack there because there's the look, but there's really um, the whole feeling of high point at that time. So in the early 2000s, I mean in the not the early 2000s, in the 90s, because I started in 1990, I wouldn't go to High Point. That was a high-end New York designer. High Point was too at that point, it was only for retailers, and it was much lower.
Okay.
Okay, it was not designer oriented. So not only was the price points and the look much different than what I would work in at that even at that time,
Yeah.
high end. It also was very unwelcoming and unforgiving to designers. They did not want us. It was like, no, no, we weren't allowed in the showrooms,
That's
and
interesting. I
it was
didn't
a
know that.
yes. And in 2000, and that was in the 90s, all the way even the beginning of the 2000s. In
Mhm.
2008, I went down to High Point to represent designers across the country to speak
Wow.
to and have talks with major CEOs of major home furnishing companies to tell them that we are a strong presence. And if you allow us in, we can write more maybe than the retailers because they may be smaller orders, but they're consistent throughout the year. And there are a lot of us. And
Yes.
that was the beginning of them considering it. And then, of course, now it's a haven for designers.
Yes. But it's still some showrooms still have that level of oh, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to offend anybody, but there's some showrooms that still have that air to them. I one that comes to mind is Baker Furniture, and we've seen Baker just get smaller and smaller and smaller over the years because their price point is through the roof. And as designers, you've had for years the New York, was it the D&D building, the
We have the
design and
D&D
decor
building and
building?
we have the New York Design Center.
Yeah, are those still busy? From what I remember being there, it was getting smaller and smaller. Same with the Merchandise Mart in Chicago. That's where everybody in the Midwest would go. And now it's like you either have High Point, Dallas, or Vegas, and the other ones are just
Right. Well,
there.
the thing about New York is that New York's a very distinctive market. So
Yes.
high end across the country is mid end at best in New York. So,
True.
so what happens is there are many showrooms that are here that do not have showrooms or show in High Point or other places, and vice versa. A lot of the High Point vendors, even my favorite ones, don't really have showrooms in New York for most of the time. So it's a little bit different of a market. The D&D is very high end, like more
Yeah.
than Baker, and Baker is in the New York Design Center.
Yeah.
Um, and it is high end, but there are things that are even higher end. You know what I mean? So
Holly Hunt is my favorite one
that's
there, but I know what you're talking. I know the other ones that I know what you're talking about.
and Hollywood is more expensive than Baker. Not
Oh
always,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So it's always all relative, but I do think that you know, if Baker does embrace designers, it may
they do.
have an attitude. It may have because it is very high end. I mean,
They've
even in
gotten much
high end,
better.
you know.
Yes,
But I'm talking about we weren't even allowed into the showrooms. They wouldn't let us in. Oh, you're a designer? No, only.
really.
Yeah, it was very bad. Now, of course, everybody's courting designers, they're playing for it, and it becomes a very important playing field for us, for
It
connection,
does.
for networking, for a million different things. But it's a
Yes.
very different experience today than it was.
I used to tell people when they would ask me what High Point Market was, I'm like, it's basically a bunch of furniture showrooms and a lot of bad cheese plates and cheap wine. And then the pandemic happened and it turned into the food was getting better and better and better. And then all of a sudden it turned into box lunches.
Yeah.
But people don't understand when I take new assistants there, the expansiveness of the city and how much there is to see and how you can get so distracted.
That's right.
And you've had a lot of lines with a bunch of different vendors. Tell me, I know we could tell everybody you're launching a line this market
Right.
with Howard Elliott. So if anybody's listening to this, Howard Elliott's opening a new showroom on Saturday of market at Robin will be there at 3 p.m. Ribbon cutting for their new showrooms at 2:30. They've had the High Point shuffles, what I call it, because I had everything memorized, and then the last 2 years, everybody's moved. So whatever you thought you knew or what location you thought you were going to, it's complete opposite these days. But what other lines do you have? And tell us about what you're launching, because you're launching accessories and
Yeah.
occasional furniture.
Yes, that's exactly right. Howard Elliott is a great company. They have an expansive collections of everything from home accessories, vases, candlesticks, to pillows, to small furniture. And I'm designing all kinds of home accessories and occasional furniture for them. And that is launching on Saturday, so on the 13th at 3 o'clock. So I'm very excited about that. I love, I always say that because I've had my own product and I do licensing. And when you do licensing, it's really about the collaboration, picking the right partner who can really work with you. And that's not something to take lightly.
No, and it's not easy to achieve. I know
Right.
that because
That's right.
they have their ideas, we have our ideas as designers, and to make those two things mix, it could be a struggle.
That's
How
right.
long? How long did it take you to develop the collection that you're coming out with?
Well, it definitely took me a couple of years to get the collaboration. We
Yeah.
spoke and we got further than we got in the middle of all the COVID stuff. So, it took a little long, a couple of years to actually sign the deal. Then we signed
Yeah.
the deal. I'm going to say that it's probably about a year and a half for the products. And a lot of them are
No.
ready, but more will be ready in October. Could be a year and a half, 2 years to do the products. It takes that long. Nothing happens quickly because you're doing it. You have to do the drawings, you have to revise them, you get prototypes, you zhuzh it from there. It is a process. There's a lot on the line because every prototype costs a lot of money.
Yes.
So they have to be flexible to have an open mind because they brought me on for a reason, right? So they
Yes.
have to be the free reign to be able to do that for them and with them. But I also have to have that flexibility to understand why certain things I want to do and I would be great won't work because it'll be too expensive or the mix of materials won't mesh or whatever it may be, that their production facilities and their pricing. So you really have to have flexibility on both ends.
Yes, and you have to be knowledgeable in the materials that the factories are able to produce. I think a lot of the interior designers that do to do licensing deals, um, they think they're going to go into it very easy, and there's so much complication to it. Like you said, developing the prototype, and if you have different factories involved, if you're doing a chandelier, you have one factory producing glass, another factory producing metal, and then you have to have it UL listed and
That's
jump
right.
through all the governmental hoops and the importing hoops of it.
That's right. That's right. All of that comes into account, and I think that um, for the vendor, I think that it would really behoove a lot of them. Like if you want your licensor, I forget which one is which all the time. But
Licensee.
if
Yeah,
you want me, if you
yeah,
want the designer to really be the best partner they can be, it really behooves them, I think, to bring that designer to their factories. Just one trip would make a difference because then I know from my perspective, I would see what's really capable. I'd see things I didn't think of. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Instead
Oh
of me,
yeah.
having designs and then finding out if it could be made or whatever. If you go there, it's invaluable. So I really think that that's something that a vendor should consider.
Did you
They
get to
don't
do
all do
that?
that.
Did you get to do that with your line at Howard
Not yet.
Elliott?
Not yet.
Not
Not
yet.
at Howard Elliott and not yet at Minka Group, but I'm working it. I'm working on it. Not because I want to, it's a fast trip. It's a hard trip. It's overseas, Far East. It's a big trip, and you're
Oh
not going
yeah.
to be there lollygagging around. You're in and out, right? But
Yeah.
I know it would help the partnership so much to do that.
Oh, definitely. Well, when we design something on paper or computer or whatever we're designing on, it always when we go into actual actual human setting, it always looks different. Like I had a client we just did a house with, and she's like, I didn't realize how small this was going to be. And luckily she had hired a designer and I caught all these things. I go, how are you going to go down these steps? Because they had these steps at the angle was like I would fall right down them, and I'm like, we need to fix this because you need to be. But we had to expand the house by 3 feet because it looks on paper you
So
don't know.
I've
The
had that
consumer doesn't
happen.
really.
I've
Yeah,
had,
consumer
I've
doesn't
had,
know what they're
I've
looking at.
That's right. And I worked on a house, quite a big house up in Westchester, New York, and the architect came in, was there first. So he drew the footprint of the house and all, and then I came in.
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of interior architectural work. So I started to notice they couldn't fit two sofas in this like 15,000 square foot house in their great room with the kitchen, the most used room,
Uh
because
huh.
they needed to. So luckily, because they brought me in very early, we did change the footprint and then we made it bigger and all that stuff. But a lot of people don't always
No.
realize. And for me, beauty's a given, but
Yes.
practicality has to be first.
Function.
The
That's what functionality.
function
Yeah,
first.
and
Function.
practicality. I had the
So
same
yes,
situation with a client that they have this huge house, huge master bedroom, but every single wall in the bedroom either had windows or a door. I'm like, where are you going to put the bed? And they didn't think about that. And I'm like, you need to move this closet door so you have a wall to put your bed on. Otherwise, you're not going to have a nightstand or something's going to be off. But that's
that's
the
right.
value of hiring an interior designer.
That's exactly right.
So what do you have with Minka? Minka's lighting, right?
Yeah,
I
Minka,
looked.
Minka Group is lighting.
Okay. What
They-
I didn't look at your stuff on there. But what do you? I'm going to look after this. But what do you? You've had a product line with them, haven't you, for a while?
I had it for the last couple of years, and it keeps
Nice.
expanding out to be bigger and bigger. And they are a very big lighting company based in the United States. And I do everything from um, every kind of lighting, from wall sconces, chandeliers, pendants, all kinds of things. Even I'm working on some fans. They have a big fan company, so as part of the Minka Group. So I'm working on some fans, and it's fun. It's very fun. It's a different part of the market than I work at in my design firm. So
Yeah,
what's great is that I really get to see it out there. I see things come to light, and really make an
that's so
impact on
cool.
people. So that's really great.
Have you dabbled in what I want to call it? Wait, fandeliers. Have you
And
dabbled in fandeliers yet? That's the new hot trend.
well, they have this whole this whole fan company, and so I'm working on some lighting and fans that have more of a fashion look. Look, if you don't want a fashion look, you don't need me, right? Because that's my thing. I started my career, at 19 years old in fashion. I was a fashion designer. I had my own label, my own stores. So, like, that's my perspective about everything in life is fashion.
Well, you're very fashionable from all the pictures I've seen of you. And I know we've met in person somewhere along the way.
Yes, yeah.
But how did you segue? So I always say this, it's so easy for a fashion designer, and we see it all the time, where a fashion designer comes into interior design. But if an interior designer were to go into fashion, I feel like that doesn't happen at all
Right.
that I could
Doesn't
think
happen
of.
as often. It's a good point. I never really thought about that, but you're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I see Christian Siriano was on Project Runway. He's now the host of Project Runway, and he has his own furniture line now. Rick Owens is one of my favorite brands.
I love Rick Owens.
Me too. His furniture is very interesting, very out there. I've actually never seen it at market, I don't think.
I
But
haven't seen his furniture collection.
oh, it's interesting. It's in his, yeah, it's
I
interesting.
will look it up.
But yeah, it's very rare that um, someone from interior design could segue into fashion. But when did you segue from fashion into interior design?
I had my own label. I had my own store. I lived actually in LA at the time, and
Oh,
my
fun.
first collection out, I was on the cover of Women's Wear Daily in California, and I loved it. I love fashion, but I've known since I'm 9 years old that I was going to do fashion and interiors. So I studied both actually,
Oh, nice.
and I just decided I sort of fell into fashion first, and after a few years, you know, maybe 8 years or whatever it was, 6 years, I realized, fashion. I moved back to New York, where I'm from and live
Mhm.
now, and fashion is a tough business. You have to
Oh,
have
yeah.
collections a year. There's markdowns. There's all this stuff. It's just very stressful. And people had already started to come to me at the time after I closed my label and I became a buyer of 3 departments for Henry Bendel's in New York, and I
Oh,
designed their coats and furs and whatever.
yeah.
So I knew a lot of people in New York. They knew
Yeah.
me, and they started to come to me to do their interior because as a fashion designer, I guess. And
Yeah.
that's when I decided to change professions, go into interior design. And within a year, I was so busy with work, and I've never stopped since. So, but I did
Yeah.
study both, and
Henry Bendel was based in Columbus, Ohio. Les Wexner bought it, that owns Victoria's Secrets.
that's right. That's
We
right.
actually there were 2 Henry Bendel stores. One was in New York, the nice one, and then we had a very small one here in Columbus. And it's sad that they're gone now. But
Well,
that
when I
was
was
very
when I was working with
beautiful.
them, I was it was when Geraldine Stutz owned it. She's the originator,
Oh, yeah.
so it was a different era. I kind of left when Leslie Wexner bought it, like a year later or whatever,
Yeah.
because it was starting to become a different store than it
Yeah.
was. It was really very, very special, very boutique, really just like one of those jewels that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. I remember going in there for their holiday displays were just over the top and just so beautiful. That it was there, Barney's.
Yep.
It's sad. Is
It's very
Bergdorf
sad.
still open?
Bergdorf is still there. I have been a Bergdorf girl since I'm in my teens. But the thing
Yeah.
about it now is that now everything there is so expensive, more than ever before, and they really do have like size 2s, and so it's not
Unrealistic.
the same store I grew up with and have been, but it will always have a special place in my heart because uh, I did a lot of business there over the
Yeah.
years. And spent
So
a
many
lot of
memories. You probably have so many memories
I
too.
do. I do.
Did you have any celebrity clients while you were in fashion?
Oh, well, I had more celebrity clients in interior design.
I know, and I was going to bring that up, but I feel like we are usually under NDAs when we're working with celebrity clients, so we can't really talk about them.
I can't. And some of them are such strict NDAs, like I can't even tell you. I've had a client once that asked me and expected me to be able to close the entire D&D building for him to come through with me. And I said,
Don't you love those requests? I like to tell people I'm magical, but I'm not that magical, and I'm not Harry Potter. But
so funny. I always say something very similar. I say, I can do magic. I just can't do miracles.
That's so funny. So what else does Robin have going on? What's going on in the next 5 years? I know you just started your own nonprofit, and tell
Actually,
us
it's
about
a
that.
for-profit. It's not a
for-profit. Okay.
So I'll just say first. So I do a lot of product. I have a license for obviously Howard Elliott. I have the lighting with Minka. I also do hardware with Hamilton Sinclair, and I
Yeah.
have my own collection of hardware. Pre-COVID, I had my own collection of all kinds of case goods, sofas, rugs, a lot of different things. But COVID changed all of that, and now I'm really focusing on licensing.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you just mentioned that I launched is something called Relation Spot. Everybody knows me as a designer and product designer, but Relation Spot is a social group for people that are neurodiverse and on the spectrum, adults, young adults. And we do Zoom get-togethers, in-person get-togethers every week. We have social relationship coaching, and we're launching matchmaking, one-to-one matchmaking soon. It's really about creating community, connection, and friendships for the neurodiverse who have a hard time creating their own community. You and I can go out and create our own community. That's hard for them. So this has changed their lives. We had the official launch last week, but we've been doing it for the last couple of years unofficially. And it's not a nonprofit, and the reason why, although we have a nonprofit arm, so we can do tax deductible, donations, everybody, relations. But the reason is because most of these kids, that's all they know is nonprofit and organizations, and it's very different feeling than their own social club where they are empowered to really help the company grow. We're for them, by them. So
that's unique.
That's that's a big thing. And so we just launched. I'm a founder, and so I have a pretty full plate because
I was reading your bio, and you have a ton. You have so much. ASID, IDS, New York Now. I don't know which one to even bring up. Women's Coalition, Women in Interior Design. Is that
Women
something?
in Home Furnishings today. I'm a member. I'm not active, running or anything, but I was president of the New York Metro ASID chapter. I do feel it's really important to be involved in your industry's organizations because, one, it's really important to give back. Karma is real, and you want to help people. It just helps lift everybody when you do that. And so I'm a mentor, to new designers as well. And the other part of it is that if you want to grow your business at any stage, you're new, your experience doesn't matter, you do need community. You need a network. And you build that through these organizations. The support you get is enormous.
You really do.
And the networking.
A lot of people don't realize a major part of our business and any business is networking and going to High Point, making connections, and you never know what manufacturer you're going to be with that you can go to in the future and pair them with the social, your Revolution Spot, pair them with that, and you never know who you're going to meet, where you're going to meet them. Tom Felicia put it best, and I have used this. I've even taught a couple classes to future designers. It was one of the first panels after COVID, and Tom said, treat every relationship and client as if there's somebody you want to get into bed with or go on a date with. And we all just were like, that's kind of amazing. Yeah, but networking is very, very important, and it helps us with our clients, with our business. If I have an issue with an Howard Elliott order, I'm going to pull out the Robin Baron card and be like, "Hey."
That's right. That's it. You build synergies with other designers, relationships with other designers. You also build relationships with vendors. They could be potential license partners, or they could just be that you get something extra when you need it from them.
Exactly.
Or you need the press, whatever it may be. That networking, it's all about building community. And that is very different. The first question you asked me about how it was in the 90s and early 2000s.
No designers talked to each other. Nobody talked to anybody. Even when I started in this business, nobody wanted to help anybody else. It was all super secretive. And it was like we had to break walls down in the mid I can't even believe I'm saying the mid tens, the tens. That was 2010 is when we started having Facebook groups, and a bunch of designers started interacting and connecting and becoming more of a community rather than closed off and exclusive.
It changed the paradigm completely, because before that everybody was thought that the next designer was competition, instead of being a community. And it was very like,
Yeah.
I just have visions of what it was like then, how the designers would walk around with like their capes and like in New York, and just be chill.
I know. No, I know exactly what you're saying, but I have a cape, but I don't I don't wear it like in that kind of way. And I remember walking through market one day, and the wind caught my cape,
Oh
and
my
one of the door guys went to open the door, and I think I scared him. He was like, "Whoa!" and he jumped back. But
Nothing like making an entrance, right?
yeah, but I mean, it's turned into so much fun going to market, and it's
Well, I credit social media a lot for that. We could say anything we want about social, but it
yeah,
did, like you said, break down the doors, break down the barriers, and people started to embrace each other. And I really, one of the great things about loving this profession for me is the people and the
yes,
relationships, and that I have fun. When I go to High Point, oh, it's exhausting. But I have fun. It's so much fun. And that's because of the people,
yes.
you
No,
know.
you're totally right. I mean, but my God, they try to ply us with so much alcohol to get us to order more stuff. I'm like, I kind of cut back on drinking the last 2 years, but I just remember going to market in 2018, 2019. Oh, you got to go here for mimosas. Then we have Bloody Marys. And then at 3 o'clock, the bars roll out on every corner and come to this showroom for this. And then I'm like, why did I order $10,000 of furniture from
Oh my
X and
God.
X vendor? And I'm like, oh, now I remember. But I mean, it could be dangerous, but it's fun.
I
It
would
is
fall
fun.
asleep by the end of the day if I drank that much. I only
I
really do it in the evening. Although my opening, we have Barentinis from.
Barentinis. That sounds amazing. And this is
That's
going to
fun.
be. Where's the new Howard Elliott showroom? Is it still
So it,
in? Go ahead. You go. You
no, no,
tell
go
us.
ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
did. I just know it is IHFC. I believe it was on like the third, fourth, or fifth floor in IHFC, but I could be completely wrong.
So you're right about IHFC. It was on the second floor, and
Okay.
now it's the same location on the third floor, and it's
Okay.
bigger. It's a really beautiful, big showroom, and oh my God, I'm so excited that we're launching my collection and the opening of the big showroom, because that's like a double excitement. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
I'm
That'll
trying
be
to
fun.
think what third floor. I literally can walk through market in my head. It's like I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, this is here, this is here. I sometimes I can't find my way home in my own hometown,
Oh
but
my
if I'm like at market, I know exactly where I'm going, where I parked, what to do, where to go, and I'm. But was it third floor? That was it. The old Phillips Collection showroom.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you because I have to go and just see it. I know exactly how they were on the second floor, but the third floor I have to
Yeah,
figure out, like,
third
when I
floor.
see it, when I go there, I'll see it. I'll know what's there. I'm just not
Yeah,
sure of the surrounding
that
showroom.
building can get so confusing. If you had to
Oh,
give somebody a tip for navigating market, what would it be?
um, good question. Number one, download the app.
Yes.
Download the app, because that would really be helpful, because then you just searched on your phone. And I also think that what's very important for anybody who's not experienced enough in going to High Point is map out what you want to do before you go. Know the showrooms. Leave room to be blown away by new things and discovering new things. But you need to know, if you have an agenda, like you really want to shop for a client or for your store or whatever it may be, have an
Yes.
agenda so that you make sure you fit that in, because it's very easy to get distracted. You run into somebody or a showroom you see a nice something in, and the next thing you know, it's the end of the day and you blew your whole day. So
Yep. I've been
you know
there.
that
First floor of IHFC is like ground zero for Danny Russo.
into
I
home.
can't. I have to like avoid it or go when it's like a non-peak time. We'll typically go before they open or after everybody leaves because I mean, it's a good thing, but I just run into so many people and then half the day's gone.
That's exactly right. So
Yeah.
just map out, download the app, and make sure you have a sense of what you want to accomplish when you're there. Listen, you may want to accomplish some combination of meeting people for networking. If that's the case, go to talks. My talk is
Yeah.
Sunday, by the way, the 14th, 3 o'clock, about design leadership. And it's for both newbies, people just entering the arena, and also experienced people, because we have a great, great panel. So, but that kind of a thing, that's where you network. Go to talks.
Sunday, 3 p.m. Is that going to be in the Howard Elliott showroom too?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Floor 3 of IHFC.
That's right. I do have, if you give me 1 second, I do have the actual showroom right at my fingertips.
I'll find it. I'll post it in here.
Let's see. I'll send you this after. Yeah. It is on IHFC, the H building, 324.
H building stands for Hamilton Wing.
Probably, right? I think so.
We have the Hamilton Wing, the design. That building I get PTSD from, because you have the Commerce Wing, the Design Wing, and the Hamilton Wing. And if you go up the wrong elevator or the wrong escalator, you can get so turned around.
That's right.
I think when you go into IHFC from the transportation hub, find the escalators and go up to floor 3.
Right, it's right off the escalator. The Howard Elliott show is right off the escalator. Yes, exactly. 324.
That's my tip for market. Stay by the escalators and pay attention.
But also, look when you. The reason the app's important is because there are many different areas of High Point. It's not just this gargantuan building, which it is, but there are all these other areas. So you may decide to go to one showroom that's all the way over from another, when you could do that the next day and cluster. So try to cluster your appointments close together. That's an important one. You know,
do you make appointments when I can't make appointments when I go, because I'll never be on time to get there, and I get distracted, and by the time I get to where I'm supposed to be, I'm usually late. But I know the reps, and I'm like, I try to avoid the reps because they give me the presentation and I already know the line and I've already done the research. So I'll try to fly in, see what I want, and then go to the next showroom.
But and Danny, people know you and you're established, and people know me. Yes. And so in this situation, I could walk in, or you could walk in anywhere and they'll see us. But for the average person who's going, who doesn't have the connections yet, you make your appointments, because they can't always take you when you just walk in, and you're just going to screw yourself up. You know what I mean? And don't be put off by working with the reps, because most of the time that's not only is that who you're going to work with there in High Point, but also that is your only connection once you place an order, right? Because you're not going to be speaking to the vice president or president of the company. You're going to be speaking to the reps. So again, build those relationships. Everything in business, like life, is about the relationships. Build those relationships,
Very true. Very true.
You're just at a different point in your career, Danny.
I am, but there's brands I work with that I don't even know the reps, and they never call on me, but I do know the vice presidents of the companies, and I know the people in the home office, and I work with them, and I don't even know, I've never met them. I'm meeting my customer service rep at Hudson Valley Lighting. I'm meeting her for the first time at this market coming up. I've never seen my rep for them, but
if you were just starting out, you would be.
Yes, if you were starting out, it's a different story.
That's right.
But I also recommend starting out. I ended up on Adam Japko's design. It was the Design Bloggers Tour back then, and I got to meet a bunch of the CEOs of the different companies, and that was really eye-opening. I highly recommend doing market tours with somebody. Yeah, I'm going to be hosting a market tour in October, I believe, but we're trying to figure out how that's logistically going to be possible with the amount of people that I end up talking to. So that's going to be an interesting tour. Everybody's like, I want to go on that tour. I want to go on that tour. And I'm like, okay.
Well, it's so interesting, because I did one of Adam's tours as well. Yeah. And it was interesting, because I was blogging at the time. I was doing a lot of blogging with my Simplifying Fabulous blog, and I met people, and that was quite a long time ago. It was when transitioning from being a New York designer to a nationally involved designer is different, and so it was really fantastic, because I met some really great heavyweight who are now heavyweight designers. Maybe 12 years ago, we were all not as heavyweight as we became, but
no.
And again, I keep saying that, but it's the networking, it's building community, it's sharing experiences together. So taking those tours could lead to you leading a tour at some point. You know what I
True.
mean?
That's very 100% true.
And you do get to see and meet people through their perspective. So I think what you said is really valuable. Take those tours.
Yes. I mean, you learn so much. And my God, those tours. I just remember being in the back of a van, not in a seat, literally in the back of a cargo van because there was no room. And I'm like, I'll just sit in the back. And we're rushing to get to this show, rushing to get to that showroom. But I mean, at the time it was hectic. Now looking back on it, it was so much fun. It was a lot of fun.
Right. And that's the best advice I'm going to give, okay, for High Point. Have fun. Leave time to have fun and for the unexpected. Because if you don't have fun doing what you're doing,
why are we doing it?
You know? So I really believe that. So, you know, you and I could have a whole thing just on High Point.
We could. But no, this is about you. I'm going to post some of these images and we're going to get this podcast right up. But again, 3 p.m. Saturday. I don't know the date on Saturday, but this is coming out.
The 13th.
Saturday the 13th at Howard Elliott showroom, IHFC building, 3rd floor. I will be there. Robin will be there.
Yes.
And it's going to be fun. Try a Barantini.
Yes.
Yes. I'm excited. Thank you so much for coming on. And where can everybody find you if they want to? What are your social handles on Instagram?
Instagram is at Robin Baron Official, and I do an Instagram live every Thursday night at 7 p.m., and that's always fun. I'm going to have to get you on. You're just going to have to schedule you. That would be great. We always have really interesting people on all facets of design, interior design business, and sometimes just business. I'd like to vary it up, and it's a fun time. So it's at Robin Baron Official. My Facebook is just Robin Baron, and my website is robinbarondesign.com.
Yes, and make sure you spell it right because I got yelled at for not emailing you correctly, and I'm like, I sent her the email. I actually had a stranger at the bar overhear me replying to Yudi, and I was like, I'm telling you, I copy pasted the email perfectly. A stranger next to me from Cleveland helped me do it.
I bet you S at the end of design. That's what most people do. It's singular, robinbarondesign.com.
Yes. I didn't put an S. That's what he said too. And I go, no, I copy pasted what you sent me. But going back to networking, I met this woman in Cleveland, Ohio. She overheard me sending you a Zoom Zoom invite, and she now hired me to be her designer, and I'm doing her her dining room.
That's the way it goes, guys. That's the networking, being out there doing things to put yourself in front of people, right?
Yes, and it's so much fun doing
it. So
and
great.
Like I said, you never know where your next connection's coming from.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I will see you on Saturday.
Next Saturday. Great. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Danny.
Me too. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Robin.